Iron Maiden's lyrics have always gone beyond metal.
Music! We need music! This is music!
Into myth, war, fear, philosophy, and the unknown. But what happens when you don't just listen to the words? You start to see the stories they tell. In this episode, we are stepping inside 5 iconic tracks. From haunted woods to burning skies and ghostly halls. These are the worlds their songs unlock. Hi, I'm Oliver. And this is Verse to Vision. Number 1. Fear of the Dark. Released in 1992, Fear of the Dark was the closing track on Iron Maiden's 9th studio album of the same name. The song was written entirely by bassist and founding member Steve Harris, and it quickly became one of the band's most enduring anthems. It was recorded at Barnyard Studios, a converted barn on Harris's property in Essex, and co-produced with longtime collaborator Martin Birch. This would be Birch's final Maiden album before retiring, ending a legendary run that started back in 1981. While the studio version wasn't a major chart hit, a live single released in 1993 climbed to number 8 in the UK, thanks to the song's explosive reception on tour. Since then, it's become a staple at nearly every Iron Maiden concert, featured on live albums like Rock in Rio, En Vivo, and Nights of the Dead, and known worldwide for the massive crowd chant that begins before the first lyric even hits. Number 2. Flight of Icarus. Released in 1983 on the Peace of Mind album, this was Iron Maiden's first single to chart in the US, climbing to number 8 on Billboard's mainstream rock chart. The song was written by Bruce Dickinson and Adrian Smith, and it reimagines the Greek myth of Icarus, the boy who flew too close to the sun. But Dickinson gave the story a darker twist. Instead of blaming Icarus, he paints the father, Daedalus, as a manipulative figure, pushing his son to fly for his own glory. It's one of the few Maiden tracks built around a slow, steady tempo, written intentionally that way so American radio would give it more airplay. And it worked. Despite Bruce loving the song, Steve Harris reportedly wasn't a big fan of the tempo. Still, it became a classic, and was brought back into live set lists years later during the Legacy of the Beast tour. Number 3. Dance of Death. Released in 2003 on their 13th studio album of the same name, Dance of Death saw Iron Maiden diving headfirst into theatrical storytelling. The song was written by Steve Harris and Janek Jez, and it draws heavily from the medieval allegory known as the Danse Macabre, the idea that no matter one's status, everyone dances with death in the end. The lyrics follow a surreal, dreamlike experience, a man pulled into a ghostly celebration, surrounded by spirits and shadows. Dickinson's delivery, soft and eerie at first, builds into one of the most dramatic vocal performances of his career. The track became a standout on the album and a staple of their live shows in the early 2000s, often performed with theatrical staging, masks, cloaks, and Bruce acting out the story on stage. Number 4. Revelations. Written entirely by Bruce Dickinson in 1983, blending religious symbolism, esoteric philosophy, and just a touch of the occult. The song opens with a line borrowed from an English hymn, then drifts into a poetic meditation on light and darkness, inner transformation, and spiritual conflict. Dickinson was heavily influenced by Aleister Crowley, the infamous English occultist, and wove those ideas into the lyrics, not to preach, but to explore duality and personal awakening. Musically, it's one of Maiden's most dynamic compositions, starting slow and ethereal, then building into soaring riffs and layered harmonies. A fan favorite, and a powerful deep cut from their golden era. And last but not least, number 5. Phantom of the Opera. From Iron Maiden's self-titled debut in 1980, Phantom of the Opera was one of the band's first true epics, nearly 7 minutes of galloping riffs, tempo shifts, and dramatic storytelling. Written by bassist Steve Harris, the song was inspired by Gaston Leroux's 1910 novel, not the Andrew Lloyd Webber musical. It paints the Phantom not just as a villain, but as a tortured soul watching the world from the shadows. The track showcased Maiden's ambition right out of the gate, combining punk energy with prog metal complexity. It became a fan favorite, and even made it onto their Live After Death and Beast Over Hammersmith recordings. Fast, theatrical, and overflowing with character, Phantom of the Opera helped define Iron Maiden's identity before the world even knew who they were. Thanks for watching this episode of Verse to Vision. If you enjoyed stepping inside the worlds of Iron Maiden's lyrics, there's plenty more to come. Don't forget to hit the like button and click subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter. And what about you? Is there a song or lyric you'd love to see come to life as visual storytelling? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to bring your favorite track to the screen.